Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump. Yes, Mr. Trump. We love you. Did you vote? Are you gonna vote? Will you ask people that you know to vote, please? And will you ask them to vote for me? For my husband, I'm like, are you sure you want to vote Republican? And he's saying he's going to deport criminals. You're not a criminal. Every time we go to ICE, they tell you, Mr. Juarez, your wife is no criminal. He voted for him, and now he's deporting his wife.
A Cuban mother has been deported from the United States despite being married to a U.S. citizen. And they also have a daughter, and she's only 1 year old. And she was also born in the United States. The woman's name is Haiti Sanchez Tejeda, and it's been confirmed that today in the morning, she arrived on a flight full of other people that were deported into Cuba. Haiti had arrived to the United States about, give or take, 5 years ago. And in those 5 years, she was living in the United States, worry-free and living life. She had a problem where she couldn't apply for asylum. A lot of people in the comments were saying, how was she here for 5 years? You got to keep in mind, Joe Biden had no problem with immigrants. But now that Donald Trump is in office and he doesn't want no immigrants in the United States, Haiti went to her first meeting for immigration. She went with confidence, but the Donald Trump administration said, hey, they detained her and deported her back to Cuba.
Familia, did y'all hear about this? Cubanos that have historically supported the Republican Party and have been pretty outspoken about supporting Trump are now more vulnerable than ever. But let's talk about this. For many decades, people that had left Cuba came to the United States and were protected from deportations. Their anti-Castro, anti-communist perspective, anti-socialist, aligned very well with the Republican Party, and they embraced that identity when they arrived to places like Florida. But under the current administration, many protections that existed have been revoked, and many people in that community are facing fear and uncertainty about what's going to happen next. Honestamente, I know for many folks it's gonna be hard to feel bad because in many ways, they were asking for this for other communities. And it makes sense that they feel betrayed because they were supporting this, not expecting it to affect them. Let me add one more thing. Cuban exiles in the United States are not a monolith, so of course not all of them were pro-deportation, but the ones that were happen to be the louder voices. I know many people in the community that have been talking about this aren't going to feel any sympathy, essentially saying they effed around and found out. I for one think it's sad. The idea of people losing their livelihood and being deported is just inhumane. But I want this to be a conversation. Familia, what do you all think about this? Do you have sympathy or not? Let me know.
So I was reading this article where the Cuban community was outraged because a Cuban citizen was being deported back to Cuba, and I just couldn't help it but to just wonder, now that laws are changing on immigration and Cubans will be treated just like everybody else that comes to the United States, and once asylum and refugee, whatever you want to call that, has have to go through the entire process just like everybody else. Are those Cubans from Florida, whatever you want to call it, gonna change their mind and their views on immigration now that they will be treated no different? Even though, those Cuban Americans feel like they're the shit and they feel like no other immigrants should come to the United States illegally, but their grandparents did. My question is, are they gonna change the way they vote in Florida? Because yeah, I'm sure they have family in Cuba, just like we all do back in our homes. Are they gonna change their views on immigration, on the immigration laws, and change the way they vote, or are they just gonna continue to vote for this dumbass Marco Rubio and the other guy, Dos Santos, whatever the fuck his name is? Are they gonna change the way they vote, or they're just gonna be like, whatever, we here, we got papers, we citizens, we don't give a fuck about them Cubans from Cuba? Anyways, I was just wondering, but yeah, I'm just glad that in some way everybody, if I have to follow the process or I gotta get deported because I'm Mexican, shit, Everybody else needs to be treated the same. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we're all looking for a better life. And I know it's wrong to get deported because most of the people, I'm not going to say it all, but 90% of the people that come to this country illegally or legally are looking for the same thing, looking for a better life. But, you know, it just really, really irritates me that, you know, all these Cubans from Florida, you know, they're like, oh, American citizen, my fit is dry. Deport everybody else. Not close the borders, you know. Anyways.
Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to the channel. I am Fikazo. Thank you for clicking on this video. Now, today I'm going to talk about the Cubanos, you know, from Florida, Miami. You know, these very people, they are the proof of, like, how can I call it, of betrayal. So you guys don't come for me, okay? The reason why you are the proof of betrayal, listen, there is a guy who gave you the rights to be in the United States for 5 years, for, you know, good 5 years. And he gave you the right, he protected you. But you guys, by the end of the day, you betray that guy. Right now, what's happening is like the guy you voted is deporting you one by one. Okay, he doesn't even care about you. He doesn't even remember that you voted for him. He doesn't even know you at all. But you cheered for him. You know, you wear the red MAGA hat. Hey, you celebrated. We vote for Donald Trump. That was what you were cheering. Okay, now ICE is no king on your doors, one by one. So Cuban MAGA voters right now, they are frozen in fear because they don't know what they're going to do. They are frozen in fear because, you know, things are going beyond their expectation. They are not expected to be treated like this. Imagine hiding in a place you've been here for 20 years. We're not here to say that DT is doing the wrong thing. No, he's doing the right thing because you guys, you are illegal. So if you don't have the legal status, if you don't have, like, you are not here legally, you are illegal. So that's why you're facing that deportation. Even if you've been here for 20 years, you've been here for 20 years, you've been here because of the pardon. It was the pardon, but the guy doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about the pardon. He doesn't care about your family, your community. You guys, you betrayed the guy who gave you the rights to be in the United States. You also betrayed your community. That's what you did. That's what you did. So you're going to be like others. You're going to be treated like others, you Cubanos. You're going to be treated like other people, other immigrants. Yes, you had the privilege, you had like exceptional, but you guys, you are no longer exceptional. You're going to be treated like other immigrants. And you're the one who caused all that for you. You're the one who caused all those problems for you guys. You guys, you didn't care about others. You didn't care about your family. You didn't care about your community. You didn't care about even other Latinos. We know that. You thought you're more white. You were like them. That's what you thought. You thought you were in the same league, but the guy showed you that you're not in the same league. You're not even a part of them. You are like other Latinos. So you were just treating yourself like you're different from other Latinos. We know what you did to Jamaican. You know what you did to Haitian. We know what you did to many Latinos. But you guys, it's your time to face deportation. It's your time to face the reality because of what you did, because of what you called. And now ICE is coming for you. You've seen your rapper, your favorite rapper, is being deported. So it shows that DT doesn't care about you. He doesn't even know you. Yes, he said he doesn't know you. He wanted your vote and you already gave him the vote. And now he's changing the country. He's putting the country in the right direction, right? Tell me, do you agree with him that he's putting the country in the right direction? Because he doesn't want you in the country. He doesn't want Cubanos in the country. So it's time for you to get deported. Yeah, that's what you called for yourself. Cubanos for Trump.
How's it going, folks? I just want to share my thoughts about something that an event within the Cuban diaspora and the Cuban community as a whole that is going to lead to some divisions that I think people have not foreseen. Eliezer Marquez Duani, also known as El Funki, is one of 3 creators of the anti-communist anthem Patria y Vida. He's a Miami-based Cuban rapper, and he is facing deportation after his residency has been denied in the country. This is big. This song was a Grammy-winning track, has been artificially promoted by the CIA through funding into the subsidiary projects to make this song as internationally acknowledged and well known as it is. And 2 of the artists that have created that song, the other 2, are in Cuba, imprisoned because of the counter-revolutionary potential that song has. There is, of course, economic instability within the country and people rising up against it. There are many criticisms to be made of the party, but a lot of it has to do with the foreign policy and the sanctions that have been placed on Cuba. And that is exactly why the CIA is investing into the resistance. On a mediatic and economic level, they have gone through funding radio stations that promote and import disinformation and anti-communist propaganda. They have invested even in creating, through the National Endowment of Democracy, a social media whose algorithm actually promotes anti-government posts and content to the Cuban people, to the young generation. That's who they're trying to get to be the vanguard of counter-revolution, of regime change, to put it more clearly, because that's our foreign policy right there. And so that's the precedent. The Mallory Memorandum that states the reasoning behind the sanctions through the Helms-Burton Act that has limited their ability to trade on an international level, or even have credit, which is essential to be able to trade. The reasoning behind it was because Castro was such a popular figure and leader that they needed to terrorize everybody that supported him. It's the same thing that they're saying about the Palestinian people having voted for Hamas, and now they're all animals, now they're all terrorists because they sided with the only force that was contesting the empire. It's that kind of conflation, and that's the kind of policy that the United States engages in, and that's why they've backed this song so much, and that's why it's such a threat to have somebody like El Funki make a track like this. Although it is very catchy, they know what they're doing. So this is interesting because the next most prominent Cuban, actually probably not, because that would be Pitbull, but I'm talking about Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He hasn't said a word about the potential deportation of this rapper. It's almost as if he's in support of it, which would be crazy. The diaspora thinks that they have supported Trump along this way, that they are a sacred demographic that wouldn't be threatened because they've got, Miami's the place to be, and that's where the most Republicans are, and a lot of Trump supporters. He has a golf course that's in Doral, which is a very Venezuelan majority community, but we have some reactionary Venezuelans that have even voted in favor of having ICE within that city through the 287G agreement, even though Venezuelans have been the main targets of ICE deportations to El Salvador, which just goes to show how backwards the exile diaspora of these left-wing governments and countries are. But back to the Cuban people. I mean, like I said, not a monolith, but they tend to see things as a means to an end. In the same way that a lot of them support the sanctions, a lot of them support Trump because he's going to strengthen the sanctions on Cuba. Even though we know that it's going to be making more Cuban people suffer, they are more than willing to take that approach to cause regime change, because they see even military intervention as beneficial to their particular interests. This doesn't mean that they're like capitalists within Cuba, although I'm sure some of them were, that want to make more investments into the country. These are just people that have been fed just imperialist lies and have sided with the United States empire at the cost of the rest of the Cuban people. And considering that that's the way that they think, that they vote against their own interests, that some of them stand against their very own community as they resist empire, then we understand that there might be people that will applaud this deportation. They will see this counter-revolutionary figure coming into Cuba, whether they get arrested or not, as a means to stir counter-revolutionary unrest and uprisings within Cuba. They will support him going back and potentially getting incarcerated because they know that that means that Cuban people will probably rise up and that will cause even more instability within the island, which will be a moment of crisis for the media apparatus of the United States and potentially the military to exploit and to intervene and to do what they can to assassinate or arrest or do what they need to do to take out the leadership and take control of the country. This is a fucking wet dream for the diaspora, to have a counter-revolutionary figure like that incarcerated and revamp the agitation and desperation of the Cuban people on the island. So I think that there's going to be a big split. I think it's going to be a huge one between the people that are not supportive of Trump whatsoever because they don't want to see this artist incarcerated, because it means that there's a precedent set that Cuban people are not sacred, that they will also be getting deported back to their countries. There have been numerous already. A mother in Tampa who recently had a newborn, she was sent right back and she had to take the kid. I don't even know if she got to take the kid, actually. I'll fact check that. But there have been numerous Cubans that are not exempt from this xenophobia, from this deportation regime. And I think in this case in particular, there's going to be a large portion of the diaspora that is supportive of this policy. And I think that Rubio and Trump are part of that same problem. So we'll see what happens. I certainly think that ending the sanctions, stopping this deportation administration, abolishing ICE, are the only ways in which we can actually secure national sovereignty and benefit for the Cuban people as a whole. We saw how under Obama, although Obama is a war criminal, the sanctions were eased and the economy thrived. It boomed for the Cuban people. And that is something that can be done. And that is something that does not have to be the way that it is, but it is done this way because we don't want to see the Cuban economy thrive. We don't want to see the Cuban Communist Party at its fullest potential, investing in the people and investing in medical innovations as they have, even under the desperation that they're facing, and being able to distribute their innovations on a worldwide stage, on a worldwide scale. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, free Palestine, end the sanctions and embargo on Cuba, and I hope you have a wonderful.
Now, you Cubans, the guy told you everything. The guy showed you what he's going to do. The guy gave you the blueprint of what he's going to do. So I don't understand how you went ahead and vote against your community. That's something you have to explain to people, because there is explanation here. Imagine the guy gave you the right to be in the United States for 5 years. You don't have any problem. 5 years of Biden, there was no problem. You guys, you are okay. You are enjoying the United States. But right now, 100 days of DT, you're one of the community that is suffering. One by one, he's deporting one by one. Right now, he's deporting your favorite rapper. The guy who promoted DT, the guy who supported DT. The pro-Trump rapper, he's being deported, man. It's crazy. Because there is no explanation you can give to people right now. Now, deportation proceedings against Alexia Marquez, a pro-Trumper Cuban rapper known as El Funki, who was involved in the anti-communist protest song like Patria Vida, has highlighted the new reality. His case is seen as some stark example that even vocal supporters for DT and anti-Castro sentiments for DT do not guarantee protections from the current immigration enforcement priorities. The specific case has drawn attention because Patria Vida was widely praised by the prominent Republican. Imagine you praise the people and they deport you. Cubanos, that's the reward you're getting. Cubanos, that's what you're getting. That's what you voted for. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. Because let me tell you, there is no anyone who can have sympathy for you guys, because you also remember you didn't have sympathy for other people. You thought you are more superior than others. You thought you are more superior than other Latinos. You are doing things which, you thought you are more like them. You include in that community. You are like that community. So you didn't you didn't even care about others. So why do you think why do you want like people to care about you right now? Because no one is going to care about you guys. You did what you're supposed to do. Now face that deportation. Face it. Face it. Face it. Man, that's the story of Cubanos in 2025. I know your grandchildren will know this and they will blame you. And they will just blame you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. History will learn about you guys. History will know about the Cubans who hate themselves and vote to deport themselves. What I like is the guy told you that I'm going to deport each and everyone who is illegal. But you guys, you even went to ICE to ask that, are we criminals? And ICE told you, no, you're not criminals. You're not criminals. But right now, you are getting deported. So you voted for pain. Now you're getting the pain you voted for. That's how it is. That's how it is. So there is the revocation of parole program directly impact the Cubanos, increase of ICE checks. We've seen even the ICE goes into homes to check. But you guys, you're the one who brought this. You're the one who voted this. All right, face it. There is no sympathy. There is no sympathy here. It is your time to face the reality, because you guys, you're the one who voted for that. Yeah. So it's going to be a very long 4 years. Maybe the next, after the 4 years, it's going to be another guy who is going to give you parole, or who is going to give you the privilege like you used to have. But it's going to be long 4 years for you guys, because you're the one who brought this on your table. All right. Now, we've seen the recent shift in the United States immigration policy under DT's administration. And this have significantly impacted the Cuban American community. We've seen that, leading to increased anxieties and for some a sense of betrayal. That's what they believe. Historically, Cubans have held a unique privileged position within the U.S. immigration system, largely due to Cold War era policies like the Cuban Adjustment Act of 1966. This act provided a clear path to permanent residence for many Cubans. However, recently policies changes and heightened immigration enforcement have begun to erode this long-standing sense of security. Now, the first thing happens, it was the revocation of humanitarian parole. A significant development has been the revocation of temporarily humanitarian parole for a large number of Cubans. For instance, in March 2025, Trump administration revoked this status for approximately 300,000 Cubans, many of whom have entered the United States under a program established by the previous Biden administration, CHNV. You know that program, the Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans parole program. The increased enforcement and deportation. There is evidence of intensified immigration enforcement targeting the Cubans, including those who may have been in the U.S. for some time or had been pending cases. These include instances of individuals being detained during routine checks within Immigrants and Custom Enforcement, ICE, ending the wet food and dry food policy. It is important to know that the wet food, dry food policy, which allowed Cubans who reached U.S. soil to stay, was ended by the Obama administration in 2017. Now, these Cuban voters, they voted for pain. Okay, like the way you see this pain, man, this is so painful. I can confirm that this is so painful. The idea that Cuban Trump supporters voted for pain are now facing deportation. That's true. From the apparent contradiction of community that largely supported DT now finding itself subjecting to his administration's stricter immigration enforcement. Many Cuban Americans have historically aligned with the Republican Party, often due to strong stance against the Cuban government. So there have been a sense of betrayal between DT and the Cubanos. Some analysts and community members have expressed a sense of betrayal as the policies enacted by administration they supported are now negatively impacting them or their fellow Cubans. They may not have anticipated that the broader immigration crackdown would extend to Cubans who long benefited from preferential treatment. Now it may the Cubans and mostly large Latinos to have fear and regret. Reports suggest that fear, anxiety are palpable within the Cuban American. Yeah, it's true. Reports suggest that fear and anxiety are palpable within the Cuban American community. While it is difficult to quantify widespread regret among voters, the unexpected turn of events has undoubtedly caused distress and uncertainty for many Cuban voters. The rhetoric around mass deportation, even if not always specifically signaling out Cubans, create a chilling effect. Some articles explicitly mention buyer's remorse among Latinos Trump supporters as the consequences of his administration immigration policy become clearer. All right. Thank you so much. I am Fikazo. Let's meet in the next one. Tell me in the comment section what you think about this video.